Hello, fellow mystery fans. Well, today our look at Sherlock continues with the final episode of Season 3, The Reichenbach Fall. So, here we go. John Watson is in his first meeting with his therapist after 18 months. Struggling to explain his visit, he eventually chokes out the words, "My best friend, Sherlock Holmes, is dead." The episode flashes back to 3 months earlier, with Sherlock receiving plaudits and gifts from various people for whom he has solved cases, along with much unwanted media attention, especially for his recovery of a Turner painting of Reichenbach Falls. Meanwhile, Moriarty proceeds to break into the case where crown jewels are kept, while simultaneously opening the vault at the Bank of England and unlocking all the cells of Pentonville prison via his mobile phone. Before smashing the crown jewels' case, he writes the words, "Get Sherlock" on the outside, to be seen by the security cameras. He then allows himself to be caught by the police wearing the jewels and sitting on the throne. Sherlock is called to testify in Moriarty's trial, where he explains that Moriarty is a criminal mastermind. Moriarty has threatened the families of the jurors. After being acquitted, Moriarty visits Sherlock and, after explaining that his break-in was a publicity stunt to show powerful potential clients what he's capable of, he tells him, "I owe you a fall." Meanwhile, John is summoned to see Mycroft, who explains that some professional assassins have moved into flats on Baker Street and asks him to watch out for Sherlock. John and Sherlock investigate the kidnapping of the children of the British ambassador to the U.S., Rufus Bruhl, part of a plot by Moriarty to make others suspect that Sherlock has been staging all his cases himself. He has traumatized the girl so she's terrified of Sherlock when seeing him, causing Sergeant Donovan to suspect Sherlock. A reluctant Lestrade is forced to arrest Sherlock, but Sherlock escapes with John handcuffed to him as his hostage. You realize Moriarty's Get Sherlock has convinced the criminal underworld that Moriarty has given Sherlock the computer code he used to pull off his triple heist, a code that can bypass all security systems. John and Sherlock break into the house of journalist Kitty Riley, poised to publish an expose on Sherlock. There, they find that Moriarty has created a fake identity, Richard Brooke, or Richbrook, Reichenbach in German, an actor whom Sherlock supposedly paid to pose as a master criminal. Now a wanted man with his media image on the verge of plummeting, Sherlock launches a final gambit. Leaving John, Sherlock contacts Molly Hooper, a pathologist at St. Bartholomew's Hospital, where he confesses that contrary to what she herself believes, she does matter to him, and that he's always trusted her. There he reveals his vulnerability to Molly, confirming her earlier deduction that he was not okay, that he's going to die, and asks her if she's willing to help, telling her that he needs her. John goes to the Diogenes Club to question Mycroft, and learns that Mycroft divulged Sherlock's personal information during interrogations of Moriarty. Meanwhile, Sherlock deduces that the anti-security program was encoded in the tapping of Moriarty's fingers during his earlier visit. John finds Sherlock at the St. Bartholomew's lab, but leaves after hearing Mrs. Hudson has been shot. Sherlock texts Moriarty, who meets him on the roof of the hospital to resolve what the criminal calls their final problem. Sherlock claims that, with the code, he can erase Richard Brooke electronically. Moriarty reveals that there is no code. He just bribes security men, and that Sherlock must commit suicide, or Moriarty's assassins will kill John, Mrs. Hudson, and Lestrade. Sherlock realizes that Moriarty has a failsafe and can call the killings off. Sherlock then convinces Moriarty that he is willing to do anything to make him activate the failsafe. After acknowledging that he and Sherlock are alike, Moriarty tells Sherlock, "As long as I'm alive, you can save your friends," and then commits suicide by shooting himself in the mouth, thereby denying Sherlock knowledge of the abort codes and the ability to prove that Moriarty does exist. With no way to use the failsafe, Sherlock calls John, who was rushing back from 221B Baker Street after realizing the report about Mrs. Hudson was a ruse, claiming that he was always a fake and explaining this last phone call as is his note. Sherlock swan dives off the roof of St. Bartholomew as John looks on terrified from the street, thereby ensuring that Moriarty's true identity dies with him. After being knocked to the ground by a cyclist, John stumbles over to watch, grief-stricken, as Sherlock's bloody body is carried away by the hospital staff. The episode returns to John's therapy session, where he is unable to open up. Mycroft is shown reading the tabloid newspaper The Sun with the front page headline, "Suicide a Fake Genius." Later, John visits Sherlock's grave with Mrs. Hudson. There, he reaffirms his faith in Sherlock and begs him not to be dead. As he walks away, Sherlock looks on from the shadows, out of John's sight, before also walking away. Whew, man, that was a lot of stuff. Anyway, let's look at some sources of this going into this episode. Or about this episode, you know what I mean. The episode's climactic scene is based on the short story The Final Problem, in which Holmes and Moriarty square off. Watson's leaving Holmes to attend Mrs. Hudson mirrors his return to the inn in the original story, in order to attend to a dying Englishwoman. The filming of the visit of Moriarty's to Baker Street pays tribute to William Gillette's 1899 play, Sherlock Holmes, and the 1945 film, The Woman in Green. Moriarty's attempt to destroy Holmes's reputation and lead him to committing suicide by jumping from a building also has similarities to The Woman in Green. That's interesting. So overall, I say this is a pretty emotional episode, if I do say so myself, which I just did, so yeah. So overall, I give the Reichenbach Fall 5 Deerstalkers out of 5. We'll join tomorrow to take a look at The Empty Hearse. So until then, remember everyone, the game's afoot.